All right. Welcome to Win Within. I am your host, Lenora Edwards, and this is my absolutely incredible host, George D. Jones, the one
Hello,
and
everybody.
only. And we are coming to you live here every Wednesday, offering you inspiration, guidance, and support in the best ways that we know how to help you win within by sharing our life experiences and our life lessons. All right. A little bit of background about us. The incredible George D. Jones is a former professional American football running back in the National Football League. George made his NFL debut during the 1997 season with Pittsburgh. He broke records set by Marshall Faulk and went on to have an outstanding football career at San Diego State before entering the Pittsburgh Steelers. Since his retirement from the NFL in 2002, George has devoted his time and his life to being a full time father and an incredible husband. He is also a #1 best-selling author of The Present Dad and continues to advocate through his foundation, the Present Dad Foundation. And my name is Lenora Edwards. I'm a mind and life enhancement specialist with DTB Horizons as a board certified speech language pathologist, certified hypnotist, certified holographic memory resolution practitioner, and neurolinguistic programmer. I help people easily release what is holding them back so that they can effortlessly move forward and enjoy their life on their terms. And
Lenore,
with
you
that,
did a great job introducing both of us. You did an outstanding job.
thank you so much. And how are you today, George?
I am doing great. I am happy to be on here with you, my co-host, and hey, let's jump right in it.
Absolutely.
Like let's right now. Hey, tell us about Lenore. Who is Lenore?
So, as I mentioned, I am a board certified speech pathologist, but also what is truly important to me is helping other people. And throughout my life, I have always wanted to help other people. And I became I received a number of certifications because of my own life experiences. I actually had quite difficult time with an eating disorder and I struggled deeply with anxiety for a number of years. And once I finally started to help myself and to find the inspiration to quite literally support myself and help my mental attitude and my emotional attitude, I really found it incredibly powerful. And now this is all I do. I help other people find that within themselves so that they can live the life that they want because life is so short and all that we have is the present moment.
Yeah. So
How
a
about you,
little,
George?
a little about me. Well, as you know, we both got different backgrounds,
We do.
and I'm a snotty nosed kid who grew up in Woodland Homes in Greenville, South Carolina. Throughout growing up, my whole life, I wanted to be somebody of importance. I was always told I was not going to be anybody, and I end up being the 1% of a sport that most little kids dream of, especially young boys. End up going to the highest apex of my sport in the NFL. And now, what I enjoy doing now is helping anybody that I come in contact with, whether it's a young person, middle age, or old person. And just like you stated, I just figured out my own mental health stuff and going through my own journey. And life has now I'm just so energetic about life and I love life. I just love being around people and helping people because going through that mental health journey has helped me quite a bit. So now, anytime I talk to anyone, whether it's in the gym, out in the public, and they have anything and talk about mental health, I share my story right away because I want people out there to know that don't let this stigmatize you or let anybody tell you that something is wrong with you. If you need help, go get the help and live life to the fullest because just like you stated earlier, life is very precious and we got to live every day like it's our last.
I could not agree more with you, George. I absolutely resonate with so many things about that. And when you're experiencing it, and I love that the culture is starting to shift more where people are openly talking about their anxiety and their mental awareness, but also the difficulties that they're struggling with, and that it's not something to be ashamed of and it's not something to brush under the rug anymore. And it's really about enhancing our mindset and enhancing the things that we have within that we can live our life to its fullest. And that to me is, I'm right there with you. It's the most important about sharing where we were and where we are, and that we have the ability to help others and they have the ability to help themselves.
And I look at it, Lenore, as an African American male, playing an ego driven sport most of my life. I was diagnosed like 4 years ago with the, mental health issues. And I was one of those ego guys that said, there's nothing wrong with me. And I was like, ain't nothing wrong with me, doctors, you guys are wrong. And so then it reared its ugly head a year ago when I was writing the book. And so
Great book.
once that happened, I had to make a decision. Am I going to let ego get in the way, or am I going to get the proper help that I need so I can be the best possible father to our three boys,
Absolutely.
or I'm going to sit here and let this destroy my life? And it was an easy decision for me to make because I wanted to be the best possible family man to my family and the best possible father and husband to my family. So for me, it was pretty easy to do that, but I can see why people, hesitate to let people know about their mental health struggles. But like I said, I would just encourage people, don't worry about that. Go get help. Ask for help if you need it. Because I'm a 40, almost 50-year-old man that didn't deal with his life traumas until my 40s. And I don't want anybody to wait that late.
Yeah.
Go get help now and go seek the help that you need so you can enjoy a peaceful and happy life with your loved ones.
Yeah. And for me, I love that you pointed out to recognize it and to help yourself. I actually, the fact that you embraced yours, I felt like I had no idea, and it was just something I tolerated over time, and it got progressively worse. And the behaviors and the lifestyle that I was leading was in secret, and it was getting worse, and I didn't realize how bad it was. And when you can recognize, okay, I need to help myself in a
Hmm.
different way. I also grew up with a diagnosis of a learning disability. And
Hmm.
I grew up thinking I wasn't smart enough, I wasn't good enough, and I always needed help. So it gave me this drive to ask nobody for help because I was so
Hmm.
tired of somebody like feeling like I had to be handheld through it. So I went the complete opposite, that I would figure it out on my own. And I came to that realization going, you know what?
Hmm.
There are things you don't know, and there are things that other people can help you with. So you need to find ways to help yourself and learn from other people and really embracing that help from other people, which I think is so important.
For me, I had a hard time of asking a doctor or anyone for help because I looked at that as a weakness for a guy. And that was not a smart thing to do. I think being vulnerable and asking for help is a strength as you starts to get older. But at the time, I knew something was wrong with me, Lenore, because I used to just sit at the school waiting to pick up my kids from school, and I maybe listen to music or the car may be off, and I would just start crying, like just uncontrollably. And I'm like, I guess that was normal, and I guess you're just cleansing the system.
Mhm.
But I was doing it more and more, and I didn't want to admit that something was wrong. So I kept it. I think I told Katie a couple of times, but I think I tried to keep it to myself and under wraps for quite some time. And then, like I said, once I was going through the book and writing the book and bringing up all this trauma that happened to me as a kid, it was at a point that I could not, contain it anymore because it was having me to have thoughts that in the back of my head that I never had before.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
and a lot of people didn't know this until now. So I can recall when I was really in the midst of it, where I had like insomnia for like 3 months. I couldn't sleep at all, and I was just walking around, lethargic all the time. I was in a daze.
Yeah.
And so when I would try to go to the gym and work out, when I was talking to individuals, that was the only peace I had because I didn't have to think about it. So once I got alone, and like I said earlier, going to the school, sitting in line in the car by myself, my
Mhm.
mind started racing and thinking about things. And then all these different thoughts was coming in, not good thoughts,
Yeah.
bad thoughts.
Yeah.
And so I knew I needed to get help, and I needed to get help immediately.
I think something that's so important is that when you pointed out that when you were alone, so a lot of the studying that I've done has been with the subconscious mind and with the conscious mind, but understanding that our subconscious stores every experience that we've been in. The mind and body have a connection and it stores every
Mhm.
experience. And when things start to come up, whether it's thoughts that are overly critical or thoughts about harming yourself, or when you start to have these strong emotions that are coming out and you don't consciously know why, subconsciously, it's trying to get your attention and it's saying, hey, we need to work on this. Can we work on this now? And when we're outside and we're conversing with people, that's a great thing because we're conversing with people, we're engaged in something else. But on the inside, once we get quiet, even if it's just for 5 minutes or as you're going to sleep, these other things start to come up. And it's truly important. And I do this work all the time with my clients on helping them to understand what's going on the inside and that it's okay. We somehow came up with this narrative of don't cry when quite literally we are designed to release this emotion. And when we don't process the emotion, when we don't release it from our system, it holds us down, it keeps us stuck, and it just can spiral into chaos, whether it's an eating disorder or thoughts that you want to harm yourself. It's other things that are going on behind our own conscious awareness that they do need to be acknowledged and processed and cleared from the mind and body. It's so important that it happens because if not, then we're running around with these really fake personalities and we're not quite literally in ourselves because we're too scared to be in ourselves until you then lay in bed at night and all of a sudden all these things start to come up.
And and that's fun. That's ironic. It's not funny. It's ironic when you said laying in the bed. So when I was going through, my struggles, I couldn't lay in the bed. Katie, I said, Katie, I can't lay in the bed. Once I laid my head down, my mind went like 1,000 miles per hour. So I tried to go and sleep in the living room on an incline chair, and I would put the air conditioner on as cold as I could take it, and I would take, sleeping aid. Never worked. Never. I would take it at 9 o'clock. I would probably go to sleep at 1, and I had to be up at like 6. So it was making things worse.
Oh yeah.
And as the day go on, and I no lie, I honestly dreaded like the night was coming because I'm like, man, my whole family is sleeping and I'm walking around. I cannot go to sleep. And it was just the most horrifying thing to go through. And I still remember now my youngest son, Cooper, he likes this cartoon character, Nardo. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
I haven't heard of Nardo.
Yeah, so as I was going through, I was in the middle of my mental health struggles. That was played every day. He was
Okay.
watching the whole. Yeah, so now when I hear that, I have to leave the room because
Okay.
it triggers something in my mind from back
Yeah.
when I was going through it really, really bad.
Yeah.
And I have to leave the room every time he puts it on
Yeah.
because it makes me go back to the times that were not good for me. So again, I love talking about it. If anybody that's out there watching this live with us, I hope we can get through to, if it's just one person, to go out and get help and ask professionals to help them with this, or just go talk to somebody, a therapist or whatever it may be, because at the end of the day, what me and you are trying to do is share what we've gone through, and hopefully somebody may pick up on it. That is the goal of what we're trying to do with this.
Absolutely. And something to add to that, I found that I didn't want to, and it was very out of characteristic for me to share my difficulties with my family or my friends. And I had a very nice smile and I did a very good job of hiding things. And I did not want to share. And I quite literally had such a difficult time that I reached out to professionals because there's a reason it's their specialty. They understand things in a different way and they can offer you support in a completely different way. And I tell this to my clients too. When and this I know you and I resonate deeply is that I'm not the problem. I have a problem. And when I work with my clients, it's not they're the problem. It's there is a problem. And when you approach it like that, you're not getting attacked and nobody's being shamed or guilted or how could you let this happen and what's wrong with you? As if the person going through the difficulty had more control. If they didn't, they could have done better, they would have done better. And the fact that when you work with a professional, you're looking at it together and they can offer you support in different ways versus brushing it under the rug or shaming you or guilting you for something. So I always encourage people to reach out to professionals for help. And the other thing I encourage people to do is if you find a professional and they're not resonating with you, if you don't have a great rapport with them, if you don't feel understood, that's okay. Look for another and keep going. Quite literally empowering yourself to say, okay, no problem. That person isn't for me. I will go to somebody else and I will keep looking for answers. I will keep finding ways to help myself by reaching out to other people who other people can help me. And it might be 3 pieces of information from one person and 6 more golden nuggets from something I learned online and this, and it all weaves together to create this deeper understanding and resolve within you so that you can live your life the way that you want without these difficulties.
Well, Lenore, that's great stuff. And I want people out there that's listening to me and you today, the importance of why me and you are sharing our life experiences, opening up our life and being transparent to people. For me, I want people to know that I'm just like everybody else. Just because I played football, made it to the NFL, the 1%, I get sad. I have, problems just like everybody else. I'm not perfect. I got a bunch of flaws, but I hope that I can reach somebody by telling my story and my journey through life. I was very reluctant as a younger person to do that because I thought that people would look at me and with a negative outlook. But now, as being a father and meeting different people and having a conversation with my psychiatrist about this, and he said, George, you can, you know, go on and help people because people will probably listen to you because, of my background. And so I'm just so happy that, me and you are afforded the platform to be on here to talk about this. So for me, I mean, I'm going to try to share as much about my life experiences, whether it's good or bad, because I think that even the bad stuff shapes us to who we become. Because if we go back and change something, then it may alter the other good stuff. So, and I try to tell our kids, the 3 boys, GJ, Max, and Cooper, take a negative and try to turn it into a positive.
I
Take a
love that.
negative, try to turn it into a positive, and to live every day and be happy, be joyful, and thank God for being able to be in this country and to be able to have the freedoms that we got. And so, tell me, Lenore, what is the importance about you sharing your life experiences with others?
Yeah, I find it to be incredibly important because we have the incredible ability to look out into the world and think everybody else has it so much easier or that you wish things were differently. And the truth is, just like you said, I have flaws, I have weaknesses, I have difficulties, I have struggles, and it's not all rainbows and sunshine. And that was a
Mhm.
really tough perception that I thought when I was younger is that it was all rainbows and sunshine and everybody else was so much better and I just had to get to that point and then everything would be rainbows and sunshine and it's not the case. And it truly has come full circle in understanding that there's two sides to everything. There's a positive and a negative. And I love that you pointed out that you reframe it for your kids. When there is something negative, to reframe it to a positive. Since there's two sides to everything, yes, there might be a negative here. But how can we look at it differently? How can we shift our perception? How can we
Mhm.
shift our mindset? And it's not like you're going out to the garden going, there's no weeds, there's no weeds, no, there's no weeds. There are weeds, but what
Mhm.
can we do about them? And that truly, I think, is what is so important about sharing my own life experiences, but also having this winning within mindset, because we do have difficulties. We are human, and no human is perfect, and
Mhm.
that's just the ultimate truth, is that we all have difficulties. How can we shift them to help ourselves? How can we shift them into something that we can use as fuel rather than anchors that hold us back and keep us limited? There was once a time in my life where I would have never admitted to anybody that I had an eating disorder and that I had anxiety. Hands down, would have never done it. And now finding the resolve within that, finding ways to overcome that and to clear that and to have a much better relationship with food and with myself and within my mind has completely reshaped my life. And I want people to understand that when you are in that deep of a place
Mhm.
of pain and hurt and heartache and despair and your rock bottoms, how many times you've hit the floor crying, it's okay. And there is help. That to me is the most important. It might not look like immediate everything gets solved in 5 minutes, and that's okay. It's the journey toward the other side that is the
Yes.
most important.
Yes, I like that journey and that process. But I'm gonna piggyback off of what you said earlier about the winning attitude. People often ask me all the time about a winning mentality. What does it look like for me on a day-to-day basis? Because I always go on Instagram and talk about winning mentality. For me, I kind of equate everything to like football. When you play a sport and you go into a game, you want to try to play a perfect game every time. That's not humanly possible. We're humans, we know we can't, but we're trying to get as close to perfect and perfection. That's what I'm trying to do on a day-to-day basis as a human being, as a husband, as a father, is to try to be as perfect as possible and try to win at everything, whether it's work, the relationship, being the best dad, being the best human being, just helping people. So that is the way for me to have that winning mentality, to try to be perfect and do better than I did the day before.
I love
Can
that.
I? Yes, some days I'm going to be up here on some of them. Some days I'm going to fall short of it. But at the end of the day, I'm going to keep trying and get up to as perfect as I can.
Yeah.
That's what I think, and that's what I do for myself with that winning mentality on a day-to-day basis. No negative thoughts, no negative inputs, no being around negative people. Everything you're doing is positive. From when you get up from bed in the morning, everything starts from there, and then it just goes on throughout the whole day. For me,
Absolutely.
how is a winning mentality for you on a day-to-day basis?
I love that you pointed out about doing your best from the day before. Because ultimately, and we have this perception where it's I'm against them and I'm against them. It's not about that. As long as you can be better than the day before. And you're right, there are days where you are so excited in it and things are hitting, and it's great. And then there are days that are lower. But ultimately, if you did your best that day with the time, the tools, the knowledge, the energy that was available to you, that's a great thing. And I agree with you about doing the best that you can to notice where your energy is and refocus it and not entertaining things that can really weigh you down, those negative things, whether it's people gossiping or just really heavy things where people are just being very catty and not entertaining it, not being a part of it, not talking about it, and quite literally taking your attention and going over here. And I love I made a reel about this the other day. In the morning when you wake up, today's going to be a great day. Now you can go, today's going to be a great day. Or you can go, today's going to be a great day, and set that intention. When we do that, what we're actually doing is we are taking full control of the mind and saying, this is what I would like you to sort for. And it is work, but it's work that I find incredibly satisfying to do, to
Mhm,
have that winning mentality, to win
mhm,
within. Everything starts in the mind. And that's where I'm diligent in doing the best I can to keep my energy positive, to keep my thoughts positive. And it's not to say I never have a negative thought. I am human,
mhm.
but I know how to get back to it. I know how to recalibrate and keep going forward. And I think that's the most important, is that every day, all we have is here and now. All we have is the present. Keep going forward. Do the best that you can to focus your attention in a positive way, in a way that's serving you.
Lenore, I agree 100% with that. With me, I try to challenge myself on a week to week basis.
I
And
love your daily
yes,
affirmations and
yes,
your daily challenging reels.
yes.
They're
And I
so
try to,
good.
yes, and I try to challenge other people. Like, for instance, with me, what I try to do on a day to day, week to week, month to month, year to year, second to second, as a father, I'm trying to not repeat the same mistakes that I did previous. Again, we're all human. That's very difficult to do, but I'm trying to challenge myself to be the best possible father and not repeat a mistake that hurts one of the kids either emotionally or, well, not physically, but emotionally and psychologically. I don't want to do that. So if I do something with the way I speak to them or the tone of my voice, and I know that it bothers them, I'm going to change that. The same thing with Katie. I got to do the exact same thing. If I see that I'm saying something that she is not happy with, I got to make a change so I don't make that mistake again. And I try to teach the boys that, we're going to make mistakes, but
Mhm.
at the end of the day, you try to stay, consistent in what you're doing on a daily basis. And again, if you make a mistake, try not to repeat it over and over. Because if you continue to repeat those mistakes, that means you're not growing as a human being.
Mhm.
And we don't want that, especially with our kids.
Yeah.
And as parents and spouses and all that, we don't want to do that as well. So with you, Lenore, and being out there where you at, how do you challenge yourself with the clients and your husband and your family? How do you challenge people on a week to week and challenge yourself?
I love what you said about being aware of how other people are responding to you.
Hmm.
And it's not in a, they don't like who I am. It's in a, I want to be respectful of their boundaries too. And understanding that beautiful balance of knowing how to change your voice and still intentionally share what you're wanting to share. So there are times where my husband and I will I know he doesn't like certain things. So if we're in a disagreement, I will do the best that I can to truly watch my voice, because I know he doesn't like loud noises. So for me to go being disrespectful and not respecting his boundaries, and for me to go screaming, not the best characteristic. And I
Yeah.
have completely had that in the past. And now, because I am more aware of it, because I shifted my mindset, because I do things in a specific way, he and I are able to communicate more easily, more effectively. And that ultimately brings more peace and more harmony in the relationship. And it's not that he and I don't have boundaries, or I'm getting walked on or he's getting walked on. It is
Hmm.
simply communicating in a much better way, in a much more serving and helpful way. And I think that is so important. So I find myself challenging myself to continue to be respectful of other people's boundaries, but also understanding where my boundaries are and how to dynamically move throughout my life. And that is a beautiful challenge that you pointed out, because what did we learn from yesterday and how can we apply it to today, and keeping that leveling up between us and us and being present.
Lenore, this has been a great session.
It has been
I
so
am
great spending
so
time with you.
I'm so incredibly proud to be a teammate of yours, and
I got
and
you.
hopefully we continue to do this on a week-to-week basis, and I hope that we help as many people as we humanly can. I'm so
Absolutely.
happy to do this and to be on here. I feel really good. I feel good just talking and letting people know that, we all are human. We all have the same problems, no matter what our status is in the world. We all have the same problems. And people sometimes get lost that, people that have a higher status or lower status, that they may have more problems or less problems. I think everybody has problems, and we just have to be a better society and make sure that we try to help everyone out by being kind and, generous and respectful to people, whether they look like us or their family members or whatever. And that's my goal throughout the rest of my life, to live like that.
I love that. That's such a beautiful goal. That's
Hmm.
incredible. And to sign off, we are going to end with an amazing quote by the one and only George D. Jones. Work ethic eliminates fear. And I think that is such an incredible quote. He shared it with me just a few weeks ago, actually, and gives me goosebumps because it's so true. When you are dedicated, when you are putting in that work ethic, it eliminates fear. Yeah,
Yeah.
period. End
I
of
mean,
story.
and I mean, it sounds complicated, but it really isn't.
Yeah.
And again, I gotta everybody that's out there listening, I hope you guys are okay with me always going back to sports when I try to make an example. And again, when I say work ethic eliminates fear, usually when you're practicing for something, you try everything in practice. When you get into a game, you know what you're capable of doing. So you're not going to do nothing that you haven't practiced and that you're not capable of doing. If you haven't hit a last second shot in basketball, most of the time you're not going to be called upon to do that, even if you haven't practiced it or if you've never done that. So I think again, work ethic eliminates fear because you've already worked on all the stuff you need to work on, and going into the game what you can and what you cannot do.
That is so well said.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for spending time with me, George. I had a fantastic time on Win Within today. If you
Hey,
all would like to follow us on social media, George is on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook under The Present Dad, and you can reach out to him at his website, thepresentdad.org, and be sure to get his book because it is phenomenal. You can also follow me on social media under DTB Horizons. And my website is dtbhorizons.com. And DTB stands for determined to be. Whatever horizon you are determined to meet, that is where I help my clients go. And
and go ahead. You continue. Go ahead. I'll go after
you're
you.
good. You're good.
Good, good. And my Instagram is George underscore Jones underscore 43. Come and join us. This is going to be a great movement. And the more people we have, the better it's going to be.
The better it'll be. All right. Till next time, everyone. Take care. Stay well. And we will see you next time.